Management accounting contribution margin. Friends, as we discussed on day one, purpose of any business anywhere across the globe is to create value, and so is for with every one of us. Now, if a business has to create value, the pricing has to be correct. And if the pricing has to be correct, then the costing has to be correct. And if the costing has to be correct, then our understanding of costing has to be correct. And that is where our focus is going to be on marginal costing or contribution margin, and how to use this understanding, this knowledge, in taking decisions about pricing and in taking decision about costing. Before we discuss what is break-even analysis, how the break-even is calculated, before we discuss what is cost volume profit relationship, and how the cost volume profit relationship helps us in taking decisions in the business about the pricing, about the costing. Let us spend some time on understanding some of the basic concepts about the costing. And in that context, I'm reminded of something that Robert Kaplan of Harvard University has said, and he said something very interesting. And he says, it is better to be approximately right than to be exactly wrong. It is better to be approximately right than to be exactly wrong. Now, this is what comes from Robert Kaplan from Harvard University. And this is what exactly is the point when we talk about costing. Now, please remember, in costing, whenever we make a mistake, by default, we make two mistakes. Whenever in costing, whenever we make a mistake, by default, we make two mistakes. Meaning what? Meaning, if I am under costing a product, if in doing the product of my company, if I am under costing a product, by default, I am over costing another product. Meaning what? Meaning a cost that relates to product A should have been loaded onto the product A is not being loaded on product A. As a result of that, product A is getting undercosted. And obviously, I am incurring a cost, so it has to find place somewhere. So if I am not loading on product A, by default, I am loading this cost on product B. So what am I doing? I am undercosting product A and I am overcosting product B. And in business, both are suicidal. And why both are suicidal? Both are suicidal because if I am undercosting a product, there is a full possibility that I will underprice it. And if I underprice it, obviously this product will sell like a hot cake. But every time when I sell it, I am going to incur loss. On the other hand, if I have overcosted another product, there's a full possibility that I will overprice it. So if I overprice it, no matter how good is my product, since I have overpriced it, nobody is going to buy it. And if nobody is going to buy it, of course, I and my business is going to incur losses. And that is the reason, friends, we have to be very, very specific, very, very clear about the costing. If I can share with you, the fundamental rule of costing is every cost has to be accounted for, and it has to be accounted for where it should be accounted for. Every cost has to be accounted for, and it has to be accounted for where it has to be accounted for. Meaning what? Meaning, sometimes people ask this question: depreciation is a non-cash expense. There is no outflow on account of depreciation. Should I really add depreciation as a cost while doing costing of my product? Answer of course is yes. Answer of course is yes. It may be non-cash expense today, but 1 year back, 2 year back, 3 years back, or 5 years back, when I bought that asset on which I am currently charging depreciation, there was an outflow of cash from the business. And therefore, I cannot or nobody can ever afford not to account for depreciation as a cost, even if it is a non-cash expense, doesn't really matter. So that's number one, every cost has to be accounted for. And number two, every cost has to be accounted for where it should be accounted for. Meaning what? Meaning if I am producing 10 different products, as a company, as a business, I have a big responsibility. And what is that big responsibility? That big responsibility is that these 10 products that I am producing in my company, these 10 products are costed as accurately as possible. It should never happen in because of the wrong accounting or because of the wrong record keeping that the cost of product A is loaded onto product B and cost of product C is also loaded onto product B, and this kind of wrong things happening in the costing, that will have a devastating effect on the entire organization. That is the significance, friends, as far as the costing is concerned. So if we have to do costing correctly, if we have to use costing for the purpose of decision making, we need to understand as to what kind of costs are there. And so there are basically three costs. Number one is the fixed cost. What is a fixed cost? Fixed cost is a cost which is fixed. Fixed cost is a cost which is fixed. Doesn't really matter as to how much you produce or you don't produce. That cost that cost is going to remain fixed. For example, for setting up your plant, you have taken loan of 1000 million euros. For setting up your plant, you have taken a loan of 1000 million euros. On this loan, you are paying interest at the rate of 10%. Now now you have a fixed cost interest at the rate of 10% on 1000 million euros. That means every year you have 100 million euros of interest cost. You produce, you don't produce, you run your plant at 5%, you run your plant at 10%, 20%, 80%, 90%, 120%, doesn't really matter. You will have this interest cost of 100 million euros to account it for. So if I can explain to you what are the characteristics of the fixed cost. So the characteristics of the fixed cost, as you can see, it is fixed in terms of total cost. So total fixed cost is fixed. So irrespective of the activity level, doesn't really matter as to how much are you producing, your fixed cost is going to remain. 100 million euros is your fixed cost on account of interest. It is going to be there. Doesn't really matter as to whether you are running your plant at 5%, 10%, 80%, 90%, 120%. But in terms of per unit, as you produce more, your per unit fixed cost, your per unit fixed cost will keep on declining. So more you produce, the fixed cost that you have will get distributed over a larger volume. That means in terms of per unit, your fixed cost will keep on decreasing. And that, remember friends, is a very, very fundamental and important thing that we need to understand as far as the costing is concerned. And that is your fixed cost. Then you have something which is known as variable cost. Now what is variable cost? Variable cost, remember friends, is the cost which you incur in your production, in your manufacturing. So what are the characteristics of variable cost? The characteristics of variable cost are exactly opposite of the characteristics of the fixed cost. So meaning what? meaning your variable cost per unit is going to be your variable cost per unit is going to be fixed. So whatever product that we produce, if the per unit material cost, let's say, is 10 euros, if the per unit material cost is 10 euros, doesn't really matter we produce 1 million pieces or 10 million pieces or 100 million pieces, our raw material cost per unit is going to remain the same, and that is 10 euros irrespective of the activity. So whether we are producing more or we are producing less, our variable cost per unit is going to be the same. But in terms of totality, as we produce more, our total variable cost will keep on increasing, as you can see on your screen. So as the activity level goes up, and so would be the total variable cost. Now friends, please pay attention. This is not just two graphs. It has got tremendous amount of opportunity hidden in it. And what is that opportunity? That opportunity is my fixed cost. As I produce more, my per unit fixed cost keeps coming down. My per unit fixed cost keeps coming down as I produce more. And my variable cost will remain fixed per unit irrespective of how much I do produce. What is the opportunity? What is the total cost? Please remember, total cost for any product is equal to what? Total cost is equal to, total cost per unit is equal to variable cost per unit plus fixed cost per unit. That's my total cost. So when I do the costing of my business, of my operations, how do I find out my total cost? My total cost is going to be variable cost per unit plus the fixed cost per unit. So remember, as I produce more, what is going to happen? As I produce more, my variable cost will remain the same per unit, but as I produce more, my fixed cost per unit will keep on decreasing. My fixed cost per unit will keep on decreasing. That means what? That means for a higher volume, my total cost is going to reduce. And that means what? That means when I increase my volume, without increasing the selling price, without reducing the variable cost, without reducing the fixed cost, my total cost per unit will go down. And that means by increasing the volumes, I am able to achieve higher profit per unit. Not only higher profit per unit, but also higher profitability. And that is what, friends, we need to understand as far as the fixed cost is concerned and as far as the variable cost is concerned. Then you have third cost, which is known as step cost. Now what is step cost? So remember, fixed cost will remain the fixed, interest cost is fixed, depreciation cost is fixed, so they will remain fixed. Then you have step cost. So what is a step cost? Step cost is when you increase your volume up to a point, your fixed costs will not undergo a change. But after a point, some increase in your fixed cost is bound to happen. Let's say, for example, if you are doubling, you have a plant, and currently you are running that plant in one shift. Now, if you start operating this plant in two shifts, other cost will remain the same. But for the second shift, you will need to appoint another supervisor. So the supervision cost is going to increase after a point, and that is your step cost. And that is what we need to understand when it comes to costing. So when it comes to costing, remember, one is the fixed cost, second is the variable cost, and third is the step cost. We understand very clearly fixed cost will remain fixed in terms of totality, but in terms of per unit, it keeps coming down as we produce more, as you can see on the screen. And variable cost is fixed in terms of unit, but more we produce, higher is going to be the total variable cost, and as you can see it here. Then we have the cost that can be understood from the perspective of the nature. And the nature perspective, one is direct cost and second is indirect cost. Now, what is direct cost? Direct cost, very simple. There is no confusion, as to what is a direct cost. What is a direct cost? A cost which is being incurred directly for manufacturing of the products of the company is a direct cost. A cost which is going directly into manufacturing of the products of the company is a direct cost. And what is an indirect cost? The definition of indirect cost, of course, is very simple. What is an indirect cost? Indirect cost is a cost which is not a direct cost. Meaning what? Meaning there are only two costs. Either a cost is direct cost or it is indirect cost. So direct cost is the one which is going directly into manufacturing of the product of the company, and indirect cost is every cost other than the direct cost is indirect cost. So everything else is known as indirect cost. Now please remember, this direct cost is also known as prime cost. This direct cost is also known as prime cost. And why it is known as prime cost? No rocket science. Direct cost is known as prime cost because this is the cost that you are incurring for manufacturing of the product. So the raw material cost is direct cost. The labor which is working on the shop floor on the manufacturing of the products is a direct cost. The power cost used in the manufacturing plant is the direct cost. The depreciation on the plant and machinery which are used for producing the products is a direct cost. So direct cost is known as prime cost. And why it is known as prime cost? Because that is the main cost. That is the main cost, and that is the reason why prime. We use the word prime so as to signify what something which is of utmost importance. Same is the case here. So all the direct costs are also known as prime cost, and all the indirect costs are also known as overheads. So this is how we can also understand, and I'm sure it's very clear. Indirect cost is the cost that goes directly into the manufacturing of the product, and it is also known as prime cost. Now, having understood this, what we need to know, we need to understand what is break-even analysis and how to calculate the break-even. And how do we calculate the break-even? Now, first of all, I'm sure all of us know what is break-even point by experience, and otherwise also because we must have come across we must have come across this term so many times. So the break-even point is the point at which the business neither makes profit nor makes loss. So when the revenue is equal to the cost, and that is the break-even point. And how do we calculate the break-even point? So we will calculate the break-even point by using this formula, which is fixed cost divided by the contribution per unit, and this will give me my break-even point. So break-even point is fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. How do I find out my contribution per unit? I will find out my contribution per unit by deducting from the selling price per unit minus the variable cost per unit will give me my contribution per unit. That will give me my contribution per unit. And so this is how I will find out my break-even point. Now let's go further. In business, not only we need to find out what is my break-even point, many times we also need to find out as to how much do I need to produce so as to achieve a target profit. So what should be my target profit quantity? That means if I have to earn a profit of let's say 10 million euros, then how much should I produce so that I am able to earn the profit of 10 million euros? And the formula for that is target profit quantity is equal to fixed cost plus the target profit divided by contribution per unit, and that will give me my target, that will give me my target profit. So we can take a simple example, and the simple we can take a simple example as we move forward, but for the time being, please remember this break-even point. How do I find out the break-even point? I will find out the break-even point by dividing the fixed cost by contribution per unit. That is what you need to remember. And number two, how do I find out my contribution per unit? I will find out my contribution per unit by deducting the variable cost per unit from the selling price per unit. So for example, if my selling price is 100 rupees, 100 euros, and if my variable cost is 40 euros per unit, what is my contribution per unit? My contribution per unit is 60 euros. So this is how I will find out my my contribution per unit. And now if my fixed cost is, let's say 60,000, if my fixed cost is 60,000, what is going to be my break even? So how will I find out my break even? 60,000 divided by 60, and that is 1,000 is my break even point. 1,000 is my break even point. So that means if I produce and sell 1,000 units, I will neither be making loss nor I will be making profit. Let us check whether it really works. So if I am going to produce 1,000 units and my selling price is 100, so my sales is going to be 100,000. So my sales is going to be 100,000. Now how much is going to be my variable cost? My variable cost is going to be 40 into 1,000. So my variable cost is going to be 40,000, and this is my contribution, total contribution, which is 60,000, and 60,000 contribution minus fixed cost, and my fixed cost is here 60,000. So if I deduct these 60,000 from my my contribution, what do we get here in the bottom is 0. And that means this is really my break-even point. That means if I produce and sell 1,000 units, I will neither be making profit nor I will be making losses. Now let us go further. How do I find out my target profit? Let's say in the same example, the company wants to earn a target profit of 30,000 euros. So company wants to earn a target profit of 30,000 euros. So what should be my target profit quantity? So my target profit quantity, remember, is going to be fixed cost, which is how much? That is 10,000. So my fixed cost is 10,000, and if my fixed cost is 60,000, plus my target profit is how much? 30,000. So my target profit I write here as 30,000, and I would divide it by my contribution per unit, which is 60, and that means what? That means 90,000 divided by 60. So if I do that, what do I get it? I get 1,500. So if I produce 1,500 units, I will be able to earn a profit of 30,000. Let us see if it really works, right? Let us see if it really works. So maybe I will try it here. So if I produce and sell 1,500 unit and my selling price is 100 rupees, my sales is going to be 150,000. And if that is what is my sales for 1,500, my variable cost is 60. So my variable cost is going to be 60,000, right? And that means my contribution is going to be 90,000. And from this contribution, I will minus my fixed cost, and my fixed cost as it is given here, which is 60,000. So if I minus 60,000 from here, what do I get in the bottom is 30,000, and this 30,000 is my profit, right? So you can see it very clearly that by using this formula, we find out the break-even point, and by using this formula, we find out the target profit quantity. And this is how you can, this information is used for the purpose of decision making. This information or these formulas are used for the purpose of profit planning. Now before I move forward, let me throw it open to all of you in case if you have any question or any doubt about it.